All right, welcome back to New Record Day. My name is Ron. Today we are going to be checking out the Triangle Borea Bro 8 loudspeakers. These are obviously floor standers, three-way design. Let's see what these things can do. Before we jump in, I just want to give a shout out to Adorama. If you guys are familiar with Adorama, you're probably thinking things like cameras and lighting equipment and audio-visual type stuff, but nothing audiophile related. Well, I got news for you. They are jumping into audiophile gear, which is really exciting. So do me a big favor. Make sure you bookmark the link down below and check out Adorama. They are sponsoring today's video, which is just a huge blessing for New Record Day. So thank you so much, Adorama. I certainly do appreciate it. And what that is going to allow me to do is obviously play my typical sound clips, but I'm going to do a second video as well where I'm going to be showing you guys some real world music. Obviously I can't monetize that video. It doesn't matter because we're getting some additional support, and it's certainly worth taking the time to do that so you can hear what these things sound like with some great music. So let's jump into the typical playlist. This playlist is offered up to anyone that is a patron for New Record Day. It doesn't matter which tier. So if you want this playlist and you want to download all of these songs, that's going to be the way to do it. And yeah, enough blabbering. The gear that we're using today is pretty killer gear. I'm throwing some serious stuff at the Triangles. I think they deserve it. I've already spent quite a bit of time listening to these loudspeakers, and I'll let the cat out of the bag. I like these speakers a lot. We have the ENEOS Mark III, the Zen Mark III music server, which is then going into the Lampezator DAC, which is an all-tube DAC. And then we are going into the fabulous LTA Z10. And yes, 12 watts, tubes, certainly enough to wake up the Triangles. No doubt about that. I'm going to be giving you my impressions, my commentary from the listening position. I'm not giving you the commentary based on what you're hearing, which is from the microphones. These are Earthworks QTC40s. They are exactly 39 inches away from the tweeter. They are on axis, and they are flat from 4 Hertz all the way up to 40K. I have already measured from the microphone location. I'm going to go ahead and throw that up on the screen right now. We have a pretty good response for sure. There is going to be a little bit of an exaggeration in bass from, let's say, I would say 60 to 70 Hertz, somewhere in there. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Just keep in mind that if you do hear a little bit more thumpy bass than what you're used to, well, that's because of the location of the mics and the speakers. It's going to be different in your room. That's the bottom line. Don't think that for a second that this is just the way the speakers measure, period. That's not true. That is just based on the environment. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and have some fun. Treble Impressions, here we go. I'm not sure if it's going to come through with the sound clips, but these are a detail-centric speaker. These are not going to have a top end that is going to roll off early or is going to be smooth for the sake of being smooth. These are lively sounding speakers, but, and we'll unpack this as we move along, they are not bright. Phenomenal with spatial cues, with top-end clarity, with anything that is going to be percussive on top. Hearing all of the intricate little beads and rhythm type stuff that's going on in that track, super easy to do with these speakers. With this track, we have a serious sense of depth, maybe more so than most of the speakers that we've heard outside of some of the open baffle offerings, the Spatial Sapphires for sure being one, the Exoticas being another one. But you hear into the recording with these speakers, which I really like a lot, and all of these little intricate details at the end of that track, they just pop. And again, it doesn't sound like it is exaggerated in an unnatural way. I feel like it just sounds really detailed, but in a way that is actually quite engaging. All right, so on that track, we are listening for scale, and on this track, we've heard some speakers that just play that track and it just sounds huge. It just lights up the entire room. I would say this, if you decide to get the Bro 8s, you're gonna know right off the bat, you bought a pair of floor standers. So they do have scale. I would just say this, the bottom octave, the deepest of the deepest lows, and we'll get to this when we get to bass impressions, you're gonna have to feel that in to really get some huge scale out of these guys. That track is passable on these, and if you remember with this particular track, I picked this one because I feel like the mix is hot on top. I feel like it's crushing the top end to the point where if you have a speaker that is bright, it's overwhelming and it doesn't sound good. With the Bro 8s, it is unraveling as much detailed information as it can. It's telling you the truth about this track, but I don't think that it is exaggerating it any more than what the track is already doing, so it passes. Does it sound good? No, that track does not sound good, but that's one of the reasons why I pick it is, do we have a speaker that is taking an already hot or tilted top end and pushing it further? And in the case of the Bro 8s, it's right on the cliff. It takes you to the cliff, so be ready for that. Again, detail-centric speaker. Make no mistake. All right, upper mid-range. Here we go. Love the sound of the drums on that track with these speakers. It's just clear, it's concise, I can hear every single hit with ease, and that electric guitar, it sounds good. You might be thinking, well, Ron, this is a detail-centric speaker. Can you really rock out with these without entering any kind of listening fatigue? I would say this, it could come down to the recording, and it could come down to the format. Are you going to be listening to digital exclusively? Do you spin records? If you spin records on the Borea Bro 8s, they're gonna be perfect. Moving in the direction of digital, where you have a little bit more top end to work with, things sound a little bit more detailed and sometimes a little bit brighter, you would need to be careful with what you are rocking out with, but I haven't really had any problems so far in listening to the triangles. I think they do a fine job with rock-centric music. Man, those horns, they have bite. I mean, that sounds the way that a horn is supposed to sound. And it's lively. It's brassy, for lack of a better term. It sounds real. It sounds natural the way that it should. I love that. And on top of that, we had that, I don't know if it's a Hammond B3 or some type of an organ playing, totally isolated from the other stuff that is going on in the mix, so it's easy to track. Really great separation, for sure. No doubt about that. I wish you guys were here because that sounded incredible. Man, I'll tell you right now, if you're big into the sound of drums and percussion, you are gonna love these speakers. Also, our guitar friend is back where he belongs, which is back by the lamp. And the guitar sounds great. Sounds fantastic. All right, might be the first disappointing track on the Triangle so far, and the reason why I say that is those keys typically are a bit more separated from the rest of the mix, the way that it's kind of, I don't know, it sounds kind of congested with these guys. Normally it sounds like it's just a little bit further out from the rest of the mix. Let's keep moving on. So far, we might have a unicorn on our hands. I mean, what is the asking price on these things? $1,400 So these are at that sweet spot of floor standers. $1,500 and under. These should definitely be on your short list. I can tell you that right now. All right, mid-range, here we go. So acoustic sounded big, full-bodied, no doubt about that. 10 whistle is poking right out of the mix like it should be. And my goodness sakes, the congas or the bongos, whatever that drum is, it just sounds real. It sounds holographic, it sounds real. I love that. No commentary needed. That sounded amazing. Crystal clear, percussive stuff. These will certainly win you over in a quick hurry. Full-bodied, I got great depth with that. There's like some kind of weird effect going on in the back. It's like this whoop whoop type, Worst impression ever, I'm sorry, but there's something going on back there and it's just in the distance. And so obviously, as you can see, the tracks are gone from LOTS, loudspeaker optimization techniques for soundstage. If you haven't checked out that video, I really encourage you to do so. This is about the perfect spot for these guys in this room. Your results may vary. I have a good 7 feet into the room, somewhere around there, give or take. Don't panic. Don't have a heart attack. No, that doesn't mean that this is the only spot that these speakers are going to sound good in any room. Your room is going to dictate where these speakers should be, and if you use LOTS, you're going to find out that location in a quick hurry. Either way, what I'm saying is this. If you give the Borea Bro 8s room to breathe, they can really throw a very convincing soundstage. Yeah, so setting hyperbole to the side, I will deal with the trolls, whatever. Under 1,500 bucks for a pair of floor standers, if you're not going to move in the direction of open baffle and you want a traditional floor standing loudspeaker, anything percussion, anything detail centric when it comes to percussive type music, these might be my favorite speakers that I've heard so far, period. So first of all of the cymbals that are being played in this, those long drawn out cymbals. I have a feeling it's all keys. I don't think that's actually recorded drums, but nonetheless, sounds great. A lot of suspense going on with this track. And more than that, that piano, those dark notes of the piano, they're exactly where they need to be. With some other speakers, it sounds like that's all just kind of part of the mix. And with the Bro 8s, there's just enough separation to where you can identify, wow, that's like a separate piano playing over there. And that's what I look for when I listen to this particular track. Good job. So yeah, mid-range, not much to complain about. Let's go ahead and move on to mid-bass. All right, mid-bass, here we go. Mid-bass sounds nice and punchy, no doubt about that. Decent amount of meat on the bones as well with the mid bass. It sounds confident, which is certainly good. Trying to remember that we have a bit of an elevation, what did we say, around 60 or 70 hertz, and on that one, that did sound a little bit bloated to me, but that just might be my room and the way these things are set up right now. Entirely possible. Nonetheless, let's keep moving. Yeah, what I'm listening for is like on that conga hit, that boof, that kind of body to it. And these are able to do that. So I'm hearing that, and there's texture and there's tone down there. Sounds nice. The bottom two drivers are fiberglass drivers, and I think this might be the first speaker that I've ever heard that uses fiberglass as the cone material. Either way, I am getting some texture and tone out of the mid bass, which is certainly a good thing. Yeah, outside of the Spatials and the Exoticas, that's probably the best that I've heard this track sound. Tons of separation of every single instrument. Easy to identify all of the spatial cues that's happening throughout the entire mix. And when it comes to mid bass, that bass guitar, it has tone. It sounds like an actual bass guitar in the room, so that's fantastic. All right, bass impressions, here we go. Triangle has you spec'd at 40 Hertz, you know, for the -3 drop off in room. That's believable. I think you could, depending on the room, get these down to 40 Hertz. In my room, I've got a pretty decent sized room. I've got 20 feet to work with, you know, in terms of the room depth, and 16 feet wide. So I got a lot of room to fill, and my ceiling is vaulted, so you have to take that into consideration. I have experimented with the triangles as far back as 1 foot from the wall, and then I move them 1 foot forward at a time. And I did that intentionally to see can I get deeper bass out of these speakers if I decided to slam them up against the wall, because a lot of you folks keep asking this kind of question like, well, Ron, you have them way out in the room. That's not practical for me. You know, if I have them closer to the wall, can I expect to get deeper bass? In the case of the triangles, with my experiments, the answer to that question is no. No. The ports are in the front. There's no ports in the back of the Bro 8s. And if you need proof, well, here's your proof. I took measurements every single time that I did it. So starting with 1 foot away from the wall, here's your measurement. 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet, and 10 feet. Now that was a lot to get through, but if you paid close attention to the drop off in bass, it doesn't really change as much as you might think. So I guess what I'm saying is this: use lots. Get these things to vanish in your room. Don't slam them up against a wall. There is literally no benefit to doing that at all. I understand that every room is different, and you might be in a position where you can't pull them a good 5 feet or 7 feet or 8 feet into the room. That's fine. Pull them out as much as you can. And trust me, you're in for a treat. These will certainly, they will deliver the goods when it comes to that vanishing act. And no, with these, the bass is not going to change all that much. It really isn't. Another thing that I noticed about these is they're very heavy. I would assume that there's some adequate bracing going on inside of the Bro 8s just based on their weight. I wanted and want to do a teardown on these. Adorama politely asked me, hey, please don't take the speakers apart. Ron, please don't. And when I got them, I think I know why, because there is not one screw that you can find on these. I mean, I don't know if France is doing things different than here in the States, but those speakers are really buttoned up. It's just clean. There's not one screw that I can find. So what am I going to do? Take a box knife to these things? So I'm not going to be doing a what's inside with the triangles. I'm going to have to rely on any information that I can find from the manufacturer about what type of bracing that they're doing with these. But I can tell you right now, I do not hear any resonance, boxy type resonance from these, which is a good thing. So the good news is all the way down to 40, you're going to get some confident bass. And hopefully that translated in the sound clips. They will definitely deliver the goods all the way down to where they can't. Bass was phenomenal on that. Has texture, has tone, no doubt about that. Fiberglass has now made its way to the list of materials that I can get behind in terms of getting some texture and tone out of drivers. I like what I'm hearing. I report what I hear, and I am hearing some texture and tone coming out of these speakers, which is fantastic. Yeah, and let's get this part right. All of this percussive stuff that was going on in that track, it was so distracting because it sounded so dang good. Here I was trying to concentrate on the bass, and I have this beautiful percussive stuff that is just a treat with these speakers. For the lowest octave, you need a sub. For everything that they are able to play, they show up and they deliver the goods. All right, female vocals, here we go.
I don't wanna be loved by you, be loved by you. I don't need to be hurt or rescued, not by you. Not so close, you're eating my space. Don't inhale so much, you're choking me. Oh, everything you think you own or have the right to isn't yours, not at all, so let go. I don't wanna be loved by you, be loved by you.
I'll know on this next track if my suspicions are right in saying that when you have a detail-centric speaker on top that is not bright, shouty, or showing off detail in an unnatural way, that one of the benefits that you will always have is female vocals will sound fantastic. Let's go ahead and try this next track and see if I'm right. So yeah, I think I am onto something. I think that female vocals with the Bro 8s, it sounds fantastic. It sounds lively and precise. It punches through the mix and there's a ton of clarity there. And at the same time, it doesn't sound spitty, edgy, grainy, forward, all of the nasty words that would typically be used to describe something that doesn't sound natural. I think it sounds vibrant and lively, and it does it in a very natural way. So, female vocals with these, you're going to enjoy it. All right, male vocals.
You tell me you're scared. You tell me you're weak. But I know you're stronger than what you think. And I know it's hard. It's rough, but we'll make it through, and I'll back you up. Wherever you're going, I'm going to. I'll follow you.
Sounds great. You know, here I am trying to focus on male vocals, and it's difficult to not get distracted by just how good the staging actually sounded in that song with these speakers. We have a shaker that is isolated, it is holographic, it is by itself. I can clearly identify it and trek with it, and I could get drunk on listening to these acoustics that are just drenched with reverb. There's one acoustic that's playing these arpeggio type notes, and it's just intoxicating how you can just hear into the mix, jump over the shaker, and then there's an acoustic waiting for you drenched in reverb. The localization and all the spatial cues that I'm hearing in this speaker is very, very good. Male vocals sounded good. Come on, Ron, tell us about the male vocals. Sounded good. Kind of a velvety type quality to it. There is some texture and tone that I'm hearing. I believe that is a paper cone driver. Let me just double check. So I have a silk dome tweeter, doesn't surprise me at all, and a mid-range with a brand new profile based on the research on the natural cellulose paper used. Yeah, paper cone driver. We have a paper cone driver, and the result is we have texture and tone, and it sounds beautiful. So, yeah. All right, last song. Here we go. Male vocals. Are you kidding me? Those acoustics just pop. They just... Oh man, they pop. Holy cow.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.
Yeah, there is, at least so far from what I can tell, kind of a velvety type texture going on with the male vocals. It doesn't sound unnatural at all. there is some texture and tone in the vocals that I actually quite like, and it is precise. These speakers, they are a detail-centric speaker. I cannot convey that enough. If you are looking for, I don't know, warm milk at night with a cozy blanket that can get a pair of Harbeths, I mean, that's what those do. These, on the other hand, these have some spark, and I gotta say, I really like the Bro 8s a lot. All right, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you know when the next video drops. And I will leave a link as well down below to the second video where we'll be going through some music that, well, doesn't suck. So I'll see you in that video. Thanks for hopping along for the ride. Make sure you bookmark the link to Adorama. And remember, hi-fi equipment, audiophile gear, Adorama, think Adorama, because they're getting into the game, and that is super exciting. Adorama, thank you again so much for sponsoring today's video. I certainly do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and knock out another video, round 2, with some awesome music.